without further ado, here we are. I was eating some pretzels, so I'm gonna finish eating and then we'll go. So I'll mute my mic here. Actually, fuck it. You guys can listen to me eat pretzels. Fuck you. Hmm. 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 So let's bust out the. Here it is. Bust this out. Boom. Hey. Um. Mm. Mm. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so this is tough here. Okay, let's save this, and I'll hide this, and we'll continue. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there were definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in a panic all night. I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on top of the futon I used to barricade my door. Waiting, waiting, watching, just in case somebody tried to break in through my window. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying, and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. The thought of being so vulnerable scared the living shit out of me. If sleep meant taking that risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better to just stay awake. At some point during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside, but that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek out through the curtains. Rena was gone. Let me back this up a little bit so I can see it a bit clearer. I couldn't see her anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. Oops. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I needed to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involved in leaving my house was incalculable. Staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Oishi wouldn't help me without cold, hard evidence. Neither he, nor my parents. So unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just like I did every morning. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they set their trap for me. But that didn't mean I was just going to twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid that trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurai were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright, let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength, and entrust your dying regrets to me, since you are probably murdered. I'll make sure I dispel them. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course, I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rena or Mion, I needed to leave now. The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it with the phone call and everything. My parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned it up right now, and considering what happened if I ran into Reno or Mion, it wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got back home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today I was going to go to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Keep your guard up, Keiichi Maebara. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. I do think that he is being... Well, he's not being hyper paranoid. I think he actually is having quite a measured amount of paranoia, considering what's happened. But I feel like also some of this is spurred on by himself. Like I feel as though he's it's like being in a bad situation, but he's making the situation worse currently. He's not making this better for himself. He's definitely not making this better for himself. So I'm not sure exactly like what he's gonna... I don't know what his plan is here. Because I agree with him. He does need to leave. Like he does need to get out of the house because this is sort of like a... It's very odd because he keeps inserting himself in a situation where he's like in direct reach of the people he's trying to avoid. However, at the same time, I agree that he has to do this because he almost has to... He almost has to, he almost has to do this. Like, he's at an impasse, right? Like, he literally has to do what he's doing right now. There's no two ways about it. Because if he doesn't do this, then he basically just waits to die. He's just waiting for, like, the fucking guillotine to finally lower down onto his neck. Sorry, I'm just thinking here. Okay. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night, as if it never happened. I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. I just heard her telling Satoko and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen, though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. My girl. Okay, I see you're still aiming for the nationals. It was Mion. I'd already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised. Oh, Mion, if you understand, then leave me alone. I'm busy practicing. I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tactily keeping Mion from getting any closer. Hey, Kay, take it easy. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. Homeroom's not that far off, is it? Just let me finish practicing. I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Okay, when did you get into baseball? Just recently. Recently? You mean yesterday? Don't ask if you already know. Ooh. Oh dear. It's a very unsportsmanlike reply. I like Mion, man. I really hope she's not evil. Because I like her. She's my favorite character in the game so far. You're distracting me. Go away. I ignored Mion and kept swinging. Normally she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. Oops. But Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility, but we were at school in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out. You need me for something, right? What is it? Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep practicing my swing to build stamina, in addition to an excuse for carrying the bat around with me. Well, it's nothing important. If you're tired, I can ask again later. Now is fine. Jesus, I don't know why I keep right-clicking. I'm sorry. It's bad habit. I don't know why. I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm doing it, okay? I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge the situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from others, that's out of the question. Well, Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Oishi, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. She gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire. This old man's just not good at this stuff. Having a poor vocabulary hurts. What's this all of a sudden? If you have something to say, just say it. Stop it. Stop that swinging. She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank I didn't understand it for a moment. I'd already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I? I just stopped, didn't I? That's not what I meant. I want today to be the last day you swing that bat. I'm sorry. It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat? Why? It's none of your business, is it? I'm not bothering anyone, am I? You are. Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating. I wonder... So there's two ways about this, right? She could say, like... Because when she says you are bothering someone... I mean, I'm bothering Rena, clearly. I'm sure they've all noticed that Rena's not in a good mood because of what's going on. And same shit. I don't know if Mion's necessarily as bothered. She probably is, considering I'm assuming she was still friends. But when did I bother anybody? Mion was at a loss for words, but she finally made up her mind and spoke. Though she stuttered as she said it. Because, Kay, that's someone else's bat. You shouldn't borrow it without permission. It was left behind by a student who transferred, right? I'm just borrowing it until he comes back for it. Huh? Yeah, he transferred. Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. It made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie. But strange, isn't it? For the older brother to transfer by himself, while his little sister stayed behind? Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up. Kay, you knew? Satoshi Hojo. Satoko's older brother, right? The one demoned away last year. Unable to respond. Dude, this is what I wanted him to do, okay? Maybe not so much in an aggressive way, but he's kind of he's pigeonholed himself into doing this. But this is what he needed to do initially. Because there's two ways this goes now, right? I was saying this last time, and I don't want to, like, hammer on it too hard. But it feels like when you're in a situation like this, you have two options. You can let it dwell, and you can sit there and fucking piss and moan about it, and worry and fucking wonder what's gonna happen. Or alternatively, you can go fucking after it, you can get it done, and then if the bad things that you didn't want to happen actually happens, at least then it's fucking confirmed for you, and you don't have to waste any more time worrying about it. You can actually do something that's actionable. Because what he's been doing this whole game so far is just worrying. It's unactionable shit that he can't do anything about. But now, he has an option. Like Brian Ortega, he has an option. Because doing this, okay, we have something to work with here. Because you're extending an olive branch in a weird way here. And you're going to find out her true intentions. Because if she is pissed off about this, she's going to smack the fucking olive branch away, and now you know who your enemies are. Or, maybe she grabs it. I would still be a bit hesitant to 100% trust her, but she grabs the branch, and then maybe you can figure out exactly what the fuck's going on. Unable to respond to that, Mion felt silent. Rena asked the same thing. Why did you start swinging that bat? She told me Satoshi did the same thing, practicing his swings, right before he went missing. So, is this some kind of omen for Oyashiro's curse? Shh! Mion panicked and looked around. Please, Kate, don't mention Oyashiro so recklessly. I don't believe in him, but the others very much do. Rena especially. Dangerously so? Anyway, you're scaring everyone. You're just fooling around and stop it. You have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Why? Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions. I'll say this now. I don't know anything about Satoshi. After all, you didn't tell me anything about him. We didn't mean to hide it. You were hiding the incidents that happen every year, weren't you? Oh my god, see? This is what you needed to do. Because I want to trust in Mion, okay? I like her. I like her a lot. I feel like the game is gonna pigeonhole me down the Rena like love train. My love is not with Rena. I have zero love for Rena. It's all for Mion, okay? You're hiding the incidents that happen every year, weren't you? That's because we didn't want to, you didn't want to scare me. That's your reason for leaving me out? No, we didn't mean to... Mion, I asked you directly if something happened at the dam, didn't I? You told me nothing happened. When someone was dismembered and murdered, you lied to me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. Friends don't hide things from each other, right? Isn't that right? Then you all aren't my friends. Okay, Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Mion acting like this. Oh, by the way, those get well mochi you brought over the other day, they were good. I thought I was gonna bleed. Who did it? You or Rena? Me. She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was. You could have killed me. How could you do that to a friend? But it was just a little prank. Now I don't know. I don't know if she's fucking around or if she's being serious. Because the good thing is here, right? Now, like, put it this way. There's two situations here. She's lying and it wasn't a prank. Call me dichotomy Andy, because I'm giving you the dichotomies you come here for. There's two possibilities here, right? So she is saying, okay, yeah, it was a prank. Owning it, right? First of all, not a fucking good prank, okay? This is like me coming up to your house and, like, shooting you with rubber bullets. I'm like, it's a prank. You couldn't have died, bro. It's just rubber bullets. It's like, dude, you way stepped over the line. What a prank is. I want to trust her though. I like Mion. This is my shrimp brain talking, okay? Because I like Mion. I want to trust her and I want to believe in her. So I want to believe that she had good intentions at heart. But that's just a fuck up regardless of whether I like her or not. Like, that's just an omega lol. Like, why? It's just really dumb. You shouldn't do that. But let's continue. Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. You think that was a prank? I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that and it had lodged in my throat, what did she think would happen? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore. Anyways, you're not my friend. There's no reason for me to listen to someone who's not my friend, so just leave me alone for a while. Got it? Mion wasn't replying anymore. It won't be that easy to erase me, you know? The cops have been on to you from the start, so don't think you can make me disappear like you did Satoshi. I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war. I think you guys are suspects in the previous incidents too. I also know you've spent a lot of time with the cops ever since the anti-dam movement. Don't think you can hide it from me. Got that? How did you know? Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom. Let's go. Class rep needs to be there, right? At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks. You're so mean, Kay. I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty. I'm going. Don't be late for homeroom. Fuck, this is really mean, though. But she also tried to, like, really hurt me. This is still really mean. I don't know, I feel like we're like two trains passing in the night. Or at least that's how I want to hope that this is. I want to believe that we're like two trains passing in the night right now, okay? I want to believe that. I want to believe that this has all been a big misunderstanding. That I've only selectively seen a few details, and that it's ruined. It's like when you, I mean, they do this a lot in mystery games, right? You get, like, let's say there's 10 pieces of evidence, right? But currently, let's say I only have access to 4 or 5 of them. So I have a conclusion based on 4 or 5 pieces of evidence, but that conclusion could be wholly wrong if I don't know the other 5 pieces of evidence. So to Mion, she might be in possession of all 10 pieces of evidence, considering how closely intertwined she is with the situation. So she might be sitting here like, what the fuck is the matter with this guy? Like, how could he make such an absolute fucking 4-head, dumb fuck, 1-head brain? Like, it's like, how could you be so dumb? Like, this is obvious. But obviously we're not working on the same level of intel. Now she knows, okay? He just, like, Pandora's box was open before, right? Pandora's box just got fucking, like, destroyed. Like, it's not even just open, bro. Like, they destroyed it. So now the thing is, like, Mion is aware of everything that my guy knows. He knows everything. He spilled the beans that the police are onto them. Like, everything. And now Keiichi is no longer presented with a choice. But Mion, like Brian Ortega, is presented with a choice here. She has the opportunity to dispel the rumors, because Keiichi is very, very clearly, this is like in poker, right? This is when you're at a poker table and somebody makes, it's not exactly the same, but I'll walk with it because I've already started this analogy. It's like you're at a poker table, and it's a one-on-one, right? It's only 2 people left in the pot. And I make a big raise, okay? Huge raise. Let's pretend that nobody in this poker game bluffs, okay? Because bluffing would ruin this analogy, so fuck off. I make a massive raise, like a 50% of my pot raise. That makes it look to her like, okay, this guy's here to play. Like, he's showing me. He's letting me know he's got something good. He's letting me know he's working with something. Now, she has the option, depending on what her hand of cards is, because I've laid my aces all down on the table. You know, I have a 4 of a kind. And this shit is looking real convincing. She has an option now. She can call me, right? And she can extend an olive branch and meet me in the middle and try and dispel it. Or, if my accusations are true, she folds and walks away. I'm hoping that it's the former and not the latter, but we'll see. Because I feel bad. I really like Mion. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself. So that's how it is. Huh? She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy, cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. So it was that bastard. He leaked it all to Kay. She balled up her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot on the ground with a terrifying, yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation, was different from Rina's. I should have killed him back then. He forgot the mercy I showed him because he was going to retire this year. Retiring this year? Was she talking about Oishi? Damn it. Damn it. I'm going to kill that damn old man. Ugh. It felt like the air itself had begun distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral, bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd experienced such a visage. Okay, so we have like... Oh, man. Well, that kind of fucking makes me feel bad, because now it really does feel like they're bad. Man. So now there's 2 ways to think about this. Because I would find it, because so far we've only seen it in 2 characters, but we would assume that Rika and Satoko probably have this as well if they're involved, right? It only makes sense. So putting this all together, I still lean towards a demonic possession. I find it really unlikely that like 5 people, 4 people all have like fucking split personality disorder or DID. I don't know what. I feel like split personality disorder is not like a. I don't feel like it's actually a specific thing. I feel like it's a symptom. I know it's usually associated with DID, because it's like dissociative identity. But I'm sure there's other forms of it as well. This feels like a demonic possession type deal, because again, like the one thing that I keep coming back to, which is sort of the linchpin, which I wrote down in the notes, so I won't hammer this too long, especially because I know we're somewhere near the end of this chapter, so we can like, I'm gonna like wipe all of the theories and stuff, and we're gonna have like a one coherent theory at the end of each chapter to like update. But basically, right now, this is my message that I had. Not entirely sold one way or the other if Mion and Rina have just tailed Keiichi for a majority of the game, and that's why they know so much, or if they have actually. Oh, see, I double wrote here because I'm or if they are possessed by some omniscient being that just knows everything. Okay, I'll reread this now that I've fixed this up. Not entirely sold one way or the other if Mion and Rina have just tailed Keiichi for a majority of the game, and that's why they know so much, or if they are possessed by some omniscient being that just knows everything. Figuring out this one way or another will give or take away credence from the demon possession theory. It would, and just given off the one example that we have so far, it would seem that at least at 7 Mart, Rina was genuinely stalking Keiichi. But it's impossible to know because they haven't like, you know, come down one way or the other. So it's impossible for me to know whether like exactly what's going on. But Rise, attention. Mion made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rina nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Satoko nor Rika looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. Yeah, it'll probably feel bad in the future, though. It might feel good now, but... People have a hard time dealing with... I don't want to turn this into a fucking therapy session. But people have a hard time... This is gonna... I don't know how to put this. People have a hard time dissociating good memories that they had with a person who may have ended up being a bad person down the road. You might have really good memories with someone at a certain given time and they later up and being a fucking asshole. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like discount or hate the memories and stuff that happened. And that's kind of the situation he's going through right now. And it feels kind of good for him at the moment, I'm guessing, because it feels like he's it probably feels like he's just like ripped off a band-aid, right? Like he's just like, yes, like I'm free. Like basically what I was saying earlier, like he knows the lay of the land now. He knows what's going on. Like it's me versus them. I still don't think he knows all the info. I still feel like there's way more to this. But he knows the lay of the land at least. He feels like he does, we'll say. So it feels oddly refreshing now that he's ripped off the band-aid and he feels a little bit enlightened. But I feel like this is going to come back to bite him because I think he's wrong. I feel like it can't be that simple. But the bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in the club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today, and the tiring possibility of the exact same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath in the recesses of my heart, achingly, I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I couldn't tell how the ending would be, whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless of my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere mixed in with their shrieks, Toмотaki and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply hadn't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi fruitlessly crying to the next victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. Weep, weep, weep. There's still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying no matter how hard I listened, but I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once. As if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who brought them their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all of my senses. I was just barely able to hold back that creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long, but in this moment when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Did I get them to pass by me? No. Since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Rina just like yesterday? If it was Rina, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rina, it would depend on how they acted. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted my grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rina. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rina I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless. Her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly, and in her right hand was a hatchet. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? Why is there lines at the end here? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swing. There were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat, but for that hatchet, there was no excuse for that. A hatchet just like that. Keiichi, are you playing hide and seek, I wonder? Why do I keep right-clicking? My heart was pounding. Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here. Were you trying to scare me, I wonder? I decided it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than to allow Rina to come closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree. I found you, Keiichi. Rina was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes. They were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Ugh, not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of viscous, hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. Not good. I'll be devoured by Rina at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose. What is it? I blustered, hiding behind my bravado, but Rina didn't flinch one bit. Just the same as Keiichi. I'm heading home. Then what about that hatchet? Then what about that bat you're holding? I'm practicing my swing. Then I'm treasure hunting. Oh, shit. Rina gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon. Treasure hunting? At the treasure mountain, near the dam site, I found a new cute thing. So I needed this to dig it out. How could I believe that? You wouldn't believe it, would you? Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. I'd seen Rena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It was just so obvious. Wait, Keiichi. Rena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape. Don't follow me. I can't do that. My house is this way, after all. When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine. I just changed my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and knew little about. But Rena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go down the street you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth. Why are you following me? The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror. Because I want to talk to Keiichi. Keiichi wants to talk to Rena too, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I don't want to talk about anything with you. That's a lie, isn't it? There's something you want to ask me about, isn't there? Not at all. I have nothing to talk to you about. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. Lies! Rena's scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only thing I could do was increase my pace. Let's talk, Keiichi. Talk. Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street? Doesn't Keiichi have something he's worried about? Nothing at all. I'm not worried about anything. Lies! Even though I was running, even though Rena was walking, why wasn't I getting any further away? I know. I really do know. You're scared, aren't you, Keiichi? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything. Lies! My breathing grew heavy, and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat. I'll listen. This time, I'll listen. I had no idea what she was talking about, or what exactly she wanted to do. This time, I'll listen. It'll be different from the time with Satoshi. When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment, but even as I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop. Satoshi was worried too. It looked like he was having such a hard time, but I didn't listen. I was so sad. Where did the street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs? It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window. I really regretted when Satoshi transferred out. I thought that if I had listened, he may not have transferred out. I really regretted that. Okay. The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? Yeah, you dipshit. I was actually going to say earlier, he should walk into, the town center. At least if you're going to, get attacked, everyone will see it. I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was disturbingly calm. You see, I vowed that if there was someone struggling like Satoshi, I'd save them. I don't want to see anyone transfer out again. Damn it! What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi. Come on, Keiichi, talk to me. I'll be able to understand you, Keiichi. I'm your ally. I started wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they could possibly explode, or they were going to explode. I read down a line. And my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of swinging. True. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought. If Keiichi doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everyone will be back to being friends and we can enjoy club activities again. Next time we'll team up and beat me. I don't know why this is off screen. Yeah, how much fun would that be? Rena couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the cloak on these past few days. You could be nice to me again too. I want to go searching for treasure again. This time I'll prepare a nice lunch. Actually, we could just go right now. Let's go up to the dam together. I'll show you the cute thing I just found. I'm sure you'll like it too. I wonder if the meme here is that I'm the cute thing and she's gonna fucking kill me. And I'll be left at the dam. My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. She caught me. It was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what that end would entail. Just what if I was caught? It was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumbled towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was beating. Are you afraid of something, I wonder? It's not like you to tremble, Keiichi. Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling. Oh, dude, the lighting is changing. See, I was worried because I was thinking in my head, and I remember at the start of the game, my guy was like, it seemed like he was getting hacked up, which I think is about to be my fate. It was like, it was evening, like it was orange lighting, like the sun was going down, it was sunset. And I was like, well, it seems like the lighting in the game is midday right now, so I'm gonna be fine. But, maybe not so lucky. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then as both of her hands met above her head, the hatchet that she held came into focus. I stared up at it in disbelief. It was all I could do. To tell me what happened to Satoshi. Rena stayed like that, with the hatchet raised above her head, and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions. I told you, Satoshi transferred out. Enough of that transfer crap. If it means demon, it means demoned away, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You can tell me now, can't you? Who made Satoshi disappear? Was it you? Mion? Or someone in the village? Answer me! I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face. I have no idea what Keiichi is talking about. Then I'll say it in a way so you do. Who is the perpetrator of this chain of mysterious deaths? You seem to be confused, Keiichi. What? There is no human perpetrator. Everything is by Oyashiro's will. Isn't Oyashiro's curse just superstition? You believe in that too? It's not about believing or not. Oyashiro exists. Period. Rena's gaze grew even more gelid. The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything. There's just no way that something like Oyashiro could exist. You don't believe in Oyashiro? There's no way I could believe it. There's no way it could exist. It exists. Oyashiro exists. Keiichi should have felt it personally. I've never felt something like that. Keiichi, haven't you felt someone apologizing to you before? Constantly on top of that? Yeah, I do remember. It was actually about a night ago in the rain. All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded, loudly and terribly. You see, until you forgive them, they'll always be with you. At school, at home, at your bedside. What does that mean? Until you forgive them... Because this sounds like Oyashiro talking. This doesn't sound like Rena talking. This is what I keep saying when they go into this glazed look. This doesn't feel like it's her. Like it doesn't feel, and the same thing with Mion, it doesn't feel like it's them. You see, until you forgive them, they'll always be with you at school, at home, at your bedside. Because she's clearly referring to herself from the night prior, when she was standing out in the rain, constantly apologizing. Saying that Rena will always be with me until I forgive them. It came to me too. Oyashiro did. That's why I transferred and came back to Hinamizawa. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena saying? Hasn't Oyashiro come to you as well, Keiichi? I'm probably the only one who you can confide in. I won't let you transfer out, okay? Rena's demented laughter clanged around inside my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro came to her as well? That's right. Last night I heard about that when I asked about Rena. Yeah, I remember this, that she said that she was being possessed, that he was coming in her dreams or something. Yep. Rena Ryugu had attacked 3 boys using a metal bat. 2 of them made it, Yeah, because he wasn't listening at this point. So this is actually new stuff. The stuff before wasn't. This right here is. Because I remember reading this line, but then he was like, oh, and he looked outside and he wasn't listening to Oishi anymore. No, Rina Ryugu had attacked 3 boys using a metal bat. 2 of them made it out with only bruises, but the other one had been holy fuck. 2 of them made it out with only bruises, but the other had been injured so badly that one of his eyes was permanently damaged. Wouldn't that be considered assault? Shouldn't the police have arrested her? For whatever reasons, the victims never pressed charges. There was no report to the police, so... They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation, but why didn't they pass charges? I tried asking the 3 male victims for their side of the story, but they were all reluctant. It's hard to say, but they were all afraid. Even after she had transferred schools. Oishi, could you summarize it starting from the beginning? Rina hit people while she broke the windows. Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different. Well, yeah, because one implies that she meant to do it and the other meant that it was an accident. It seems very clear that it was intentional. On an undisclosed date, Rina Ryugu was conversing with 3 male students, close friends of hers, near the pool storage shed. Who were those 3? I can't reveal their names, but they were close to Rina, and it seems they were a group of friends. She was the lone girl in their group. Sort of the reverse this time, right? Where he's the lone guy. So it wasn't that strange that the 4 of them were together. So what happened? I don't know the reason why. She took the baseball team's bat that was in the pool storage shed and beat the 3 of them down one after the other. What? There were no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rina and 3 male students were at the pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At the time, Rina underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. Then taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. Leaving her friends covered in blood, with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards a school building. She doesn't look like the same here. Like, she looks like less... Like, her eyes don't look as fucked. I guess it's kind of a weird drawing, but... Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on scene and subdued her. What was this change Rina underwent? What matches up in the statements from the 3 was a sudden change. The point that there was a transformation. I could also recall Rina's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rina that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rina. That transformation they're talking about, had it happened before? No, there was nothing like that. As far as I could find out in her medical history and past, there was nothing like that. Does that happen often, where people change suddenly like Rina did? Of course it does. There are plenty of psychological phenomena that could cause something like that. Then you're saying there was a dormant element in Rina that caused that transformation. I can't say that for certain, but according to the statements of her friends, it's hard to believe she had such a side to her. Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred here, she was probably pretty popular in school like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat? Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe that I was mistaken for thinking that was Rina, even now. Then what happened after that? There was a hospital right across from the school, so the 3 of them were carried in and treated quickly. What about Rina? What about the police? Why wasn't there a criminal investigation? You see, the police can't get involved unless they're called. Even though one was badly injured with permanent damage. Why didn't they file charges? That's what caught my attention as well. Either some threat or pressure was placed on them, or they had a reason they couldn't file charges, even if they wanted to. We're talking about you after all. Of course you looked into it, didn't you? Well, yeah. But I told you at the beginning, didn't I? That the victims were all very reluctant to talk. They didn't want to touch on the matter, or rather, they didn't want to be involved. Reluctant to talk, didn't want to touch it, didn't want to be involved. It resembled the villagers here in Oyashiro's curse. Did the teacher at the school tell you anything? A school is a hallowed ground. You could say they tend to keep scandals under wraps. True. I didn't have a search warrant, so I had to tread lightly, you see. Then there was no comments from the school. No, they denied the incident ever happened. It's just, 3 male students were carried in for blunt force trauma that day. That's all there was in the hospital records. The victims didn't speak, the school denied it happened, then you don't know anything at all. Yeah, I know nothing other than the incident itself has taken place. The victims also wish this incident to be kept from the public, so if you and I both forget about it, Maybara, then this incident will probably just fade away. For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by roiling waves, sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with. After that, she was suspended by the school, and during that time, she underwent psychiatric counseling. Did you hear anything from that doctor? Again, they were very professional in regards to their ethics, or at least very tight-lipped. Nothing even after you showed them your badge. I was told to get a warrant. The badge itself has no legally binding authority after all. And how did you know that Rina confessed that it was Oyashiro who did it? There was a nurse I asked in the department. I hope this isn't that Maya Takano girl, because that's what I feel like is all going to be connected. There was a nurse I asked in that department. She agreed to help me just from showing her badge. Then what did she say? Turns out that nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently all that she remembered was what she overheard from inside the room. The nurse said that at the time, Rina Ryugu was very calm and mild-mannered. It was more like she was confessing her sins at church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it. But partway through, her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rina for a while. Part with Oyashiro, when did that pop up? Partway through, she screamed the name suddenly. That startled the nurse, and that's why she started listening in. Now we're back. It was Oyashiro! Rina suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor, calmly and collectedly, asked Rina to have a seat. Oh, so we're getting a... I thought we were going back to me. I was like, huh? We're at the doctor here. What is this Oyashiro you speak of? Gently, ever so gently. A fundamental part of counseling is to be a good patient listener. Whoever abandons Hinamizawa will be hunted down by Oyashiro. And it's finally gotten to me. That's the town you lived in before you moved here. Isn't that right, Ryuga? I didn't want to move, but because of my mom and dad's circumstances, we had to. But Oyashiro wouldn't allow it. Ryuga must have lots of friends in Hinamizawa. Even now, you must be missing them dearly, don't you think? I want to go back to Hinamizawa. No, it's not that I want to go back. I have to go back. I should have gone back much sooner, but now it's too late. Oyashiro has come. Oyashiro is the name of the god in Hinamizawa, isn't that right? Everyone knows it's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. If you ever try abandoning Hinamizawa by leaving, you'll incur its wrath. You had moved quite a while ago, didn't you? Then it was just now that this god has arrived, is what you're saying. You might not believe me, but Oyashiro exists. The nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That's all she remembered. That it was Oyashiro's doing, right? I do believe there is that kind of superstition in Hinamizawa. That if you leave the village, then you incur Oyashiro's wrath. You should be familiar with this part, Maybara. I knew very well about what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Satoko's parents, supporters and leading advocates for the dam, were cursed to their death. This was the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village, yeah. This is my first time hearing that. I can understand outside threats being cursed by the village, but why also villagers who leave? Normally people who leave villages aren't supposed to be cursed, right? Maybe it's like you're gonna pull away the facade? Like you're gonna do something, I don't know, like you're gonna disrupt the life of the village? I don't know what the reason would be. I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I would see it as a rule that people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Oishi pondered for a bit over on the other end of the receiver, then began speaking again. Well, I told you long ago when Hinamizawa was called Onikakushi, didn't I? I recalled hearing that. Long ago, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as the village of demons. The villagers at the foot of the mountains worshipped the demons, so Onikakushi was hallowed ground that you could never enter. It came to be said that if you entered carelessly, you were cursed by Oyashiro. Those who set foot in Onikakushi, in other words, Hinamizawa, would be cursed. I could understand that. I know that, but for leaving to also be no good, that's... Also, the demons you see. They were being strictly watched by Oyashiro, so they would not enter into our world. In other words, Oyashiro probably restricted interaction between Onikakushi and the rest of the world. Yeah, so he wanted to keep it isolated. I finally understood what sort of thing Oyashiro was. He's a control freak. So basically, Oyashiro is more like a warden than a protectorate deity, I guess, trying to keep this place isolated from the rest of the world. I guess that's how it would seem. I'm sorry, I don't know very much myself. This is mostly what passed on to me from my mother. I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hinamizawa would be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So because Rina originally lived in Hinamizawa and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements for being cursed. So that means because Rina moved away against its wishes, she was cursed by Oyashiro. Is that what it adds up to? In short, that seems to be what it points to, I guess. As a matter of fact, soon afterwards they did move back to Hinamizawa after all. Those who abandoned Hinamizawa and left were cursed. But then why only Rina? Shouldn't Rina's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and have been cursed? Also, in this day and age in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there would be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Watanagashi. True. Very, very astute observation. I don't like saying at most, though. Well, anyways, there's a lot I still don't know. Even if it was Oyashiro's curse, it doesn't explain Rina beating her classmates with a metal bat, or why the victims wouldn't press charges. You think the victims were covering because they believed that a terrible curse had befallen them, do you? Or you don't think? Is that what he said? You don't think? You don't think the victims were cowering because they believed a terrible curse had befallen them. You know what this music? Just the piano? Not this part. But the piano music in the background, I'll wait till it comes back again. It sounds like fucking Kino der Toten from Black Ops 1. I know this would have came out well before Black Ops 1, but that's what it reminds me of. It's got like the same key. I want to wait to hear it again. One sec. Or not Kino der Toten, it's just the zombie lobby music. I'm having a stroke, sorry. It's just the zombie lobby music, I think, when you're waiting to enter a match. I'm waiting. Just wait. It'll be back here in a second. I'm like positive it is. It's not, of course, it might be the same key, which is probably why I think it's not literally the same thing. Who cares? Okay, it's gonna take too long. I'll point it out when it comes by again if it does. Of course, I didn't want to believe it. Okay, well, there you go. I fucked it up. Fuck me. But more importantly, I just realized something else. There was another bizarre connection that Rina made between Oyashiro's curse and metal bats. Satoshi fell victim to Oyashiro's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, just like me. Then Rina as well. She was affected by Oyashiro's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which she had used at the time of the horrendous act was again a metal bat. And finally me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable, and now I was holding on to a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. Had that same thing happened to Rina. But there was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. I was about to say, well, Satoshi's gone and Rina's still here. Both of them had fallen victim to Oyashiro's curse, yet they were met with different ends. Well, so one is being like disappearing or dying, and the other is like being possessed, like pick your poison. And finally me. I couldn't call it a coincidence anymore. Rina, Satoshi, and finally me. Could it be that I really was under Oyashiro's curse right now? No, more importantly than that, what should I do now? I wonder if like this is a batshit theory and it's not right. I don't think anything would point you in this direction. I wonder if my dude is just like tripping his balls off because he's cursed and like he's just going crazy. I don't think it's right, but Satoshi had been demoned away, vanishing without a trace. Rina was fine. Fine? Rina had undergone a change. I could only believe that there was something that wasn't Rina residing within her. And here right now, it was standing before me. Yeah. Welcome back. Oh wait, it's not nighttime. Maybe my guy was just going crazy. Rina, please tell me. What will happen to me? Rina said imposingly, not answering. Satoshi disappeared, but Rina didn't disappear. So what will happen to me? I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling. Don't worry, I'll save you. Rina took one step forward, still holding the hatchet high above her head. Now then. One step closer, Rina's face spread out to fill my vision. Speak. One step closer. Rina's nose was close enough to touch mine, and was still pushing closer. There's something you want to say, isn't there? I'll listen. I'll save you, okay? Speak, okay? Speak, okay? I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Rina. I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end, because when the laughing ended, the hatchet would come down. The moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast I couldn't believe it, and pushed Rina away with both hands. Rina was light as a feather. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the hatchet, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. And confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Get away from Rina. Run away. Survive. I feel like he didn't pick up anything from the conversation he just had. Like, I get it, you don't want to trust the girl holding a hatchet above your head like she's about to fucking chop you up into bits. But, like, she made it kind of clear that... I don't know if that's Oyashiro. Like, I don't know if it's Oyashiro that's... It seems like this is Oyashiro that's talking. I don't know. We'll wait till the end here. We'll do the theory at the end. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding on to a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even further. I mean, realistically, dog, you should probably, like, let go of the bat. It seems like the bat is kind of like a bad omen. I'd get rid of it. I sped even further down the winding path. I didn't feel myself gasping for breath, or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of the simulacrum of Rina coming from behind me. It rang through the trees and in my head, and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. Oh, great. Now you're gonna go right to the fucking dam, and you are gonna be the cute thing she finds, because you're gonna get fucking chopped up at the dam. The grove of trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment I was bewildered by the scenery. I felt I knew, but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized. It was the dam site. The fact I'd dashed madly and ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. Because it seems like there's like a theme to what's happening. And it seems like it kind of plays out like a book. Like, I mean, they're talking about how he mirrored Satoshi's actions so strongly. It seems like it plays out the exact same way every time, which means, like, you should try and deviate from the path that you're on, because clearly you're not going down the right one, but he's just so stubborn, he keeps going down further down the same fucking path. He's just digging a hole even deeper than where he should do. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. I didn't mean to skip that. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. I skipped the line. Oh, never mind. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not be holy fuck! If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rina wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rina, but a third party. Except the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. Oh, it's the same eyes that Mion had. But more than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope and had finally started imagining things? Dude, I think Rina might actually be friendly. No, dude, I hope this isn't what I think it's going to turn into. I'll be really sad. This is going to turn into a thing where Rina's actually going to be my friend, and it's going to be like me and Rina versus the village, and I'm going to be really sad if that's the case, because I don't want to turn on Mion. I'm a Mion shrimp. I don't like this. But that feels like what's about where this is about to go. I should run away. Because Mion had these same eyes, right? It seems like all these village people are like demons. And, oh, this makes me really sad. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside of me, I jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need fear anything else. But right now, I just realized how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Oishi told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake Rena off as she slowly chased in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuer's arms grazed my shoulder. Now it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like time itself had stopped. I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would take to blink twice, when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. And then... Don't think about that, Keiichi. First, realize you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg or with the left. You just need to decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Right, left. I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm. Using that inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun. What? The two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms ready to grab me, instead grasped at empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him for being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been and faced me in astonishment, but it was too late. I didn't even need to swing the bat. All I needed to do was extend my arm as I turned around. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to at least knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled wryly on the inside. What do you want with me? Next one's gonna be right in your face, you bastard. It was fine if it was just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat, and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I'd just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down, preferably on your bat side. Narrowing down my target to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. Well, I mean, you could. If they blocked it with their arms, their bone would snap like a twig. Dude, I'm sorry, you are overestimating the fucking power that you are putting behind a swing. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed further through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right to my gut. Not good. With this distance, in this position, and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling the grainy soil press against my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the abrasions on my skins, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, filling my mouth with a bitter sensation. I knew very well that I didn't have the time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but at that moment, the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it all the more upsetting. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. You're in a rear naked choke, buddy. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled, or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened, and a silent whining noise began playing deep in my mind. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with the phrase that adequately described my situation. So now Rena's gonna come save me. If I think I'm right about where the story is gonna go, then Rena's gonna come save me, and I'm gonna get really sad. Rena's gonna save me, and it's gonna turn out that Rena's the only good guy. And I'm gonna be... Really feels fucking bad, Manning. Because Mion's gonna be evil. A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and pillows. I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in the room besides me, but their presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot through my entire body, so I didn't die. Feeling alright? I think you better just lie down for a bit. Why was Rena in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. Rena's smile belonged to the Rena I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking that this version of Rena was safe. Why am I... Don't you remember? After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could ever imagine. I guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind. I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you better just lie down until then. I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor, but knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring. Why am I here? Sure, I was at the damn site. That's what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Keiichi was already passed out. Huh. So they didn't kill me. Obviously. Unless I'm fucking... This is my death vision. Huh. God, just don't let Mion be evil, please. That's why I'm the only one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health. Amazing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have some help? Don't you remember, Keiichi? Rena appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her smile. I only propped you up on my shoulder. You said you could walk on your own and that you were fine. You don't remember? I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after that point where I lost consciousness. What about those two? Huh? When you got there, Rena, the ones with me, or rather those two guys. There wasn't anyone. Dude, now I'm worried that my guy is actually going crazy. Now I'm worried my guy is actually a wacko. That he's the one that has split personality disorder and he's the one that's going crazy. I can't tell. I can't tell, it's not possible. I don't even know what to say, like... It's like... I don't even... Like, I don't even know what to say. Let me think here for a second. Sorry, one sec. It's impossible to know, so I'll just continue. But now I don't know what's what. I think my initial theory is true, but my initial theory doesn't really make sense because I feel like in my initial theory they would have just killed me, but they didn't. Not Rena. I actually. Oh God. She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at that time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rena, but if I did that, then this kind Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Hearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rena would have even stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rena was still Rena, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. I'd like to go to the bathroom, though. Sorry. Rena couldn't say anything else. When Rena stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. It must have been the doctor Rena called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call, but it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Oishi to get here. I'm guessing it's Mion. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost instantly. My girl! My best friend! Mion? Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. How did you know I collapsed? I heard from Rena over the phone. Do you need any reason other than that? I understood why we should... Holy fuck, man, I'm having a stroke. I understood why she would call a doctor. But why Mion too? Rena was descending the stairs behind me. Rena, doesn't Kay look pretty alright? She made me worry for nothing. That's true. Maybe I worried for nothing as well. They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. Whoa, what's up with the shoe rack? How did it get like this? The shoe rack that I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday. I fell, you see, and the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing around something you're not used to handling. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself. Leaving it like this will really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later. Now come on, Kay. The terminally ill need their rest. Come, back in bed. Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Oishi. I was pushed into my bed. Hell yeah. It was the first time Mion had been in my room. She began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scalded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary. Rena, did you call the director? Yup, right after I called me. He said he'd be right over. It's not doctor, it was director. Is this a Truman Show? What's happening? Am I in a Truman Show? What is going on? Dude, I'm having a stroke right now. That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor, then called Mion, and after that she called a director? Who is this director? Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this director? Didn't you know, Kay? We mean the director when we say the director. Like the director of a movie. Or like a foreman of a construction site. Oh, great. Now I don't know if they're good or not. I dug through all my memories for a director who might have business with me. Tomatake. The construction site foreman. The very first of the first incident. Oh my lord, I'm having a stroke. I can't read. The very first victim of the first incident. The dismemberment at the damn construction site. The foreman? But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. Dude, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening, man. I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. I don't know if this is like a Truman Show shit going on. Like, am I being fucked right now? Has this all been a joke? Like a weird, elaborate prank? Because this is one elaborate, involved prank, man. What does the director have to do with me? He said he was coming. Do you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another. But all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking about. Okay, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the director will be happy to hear that. So who is this director? The director is a director. So who is this director? Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. The disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly. Oh yeah. We should finish up before the director comes. You remember, don't you, Kay? Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember what? Keiichi, had he forgotten, I wonder? About the penalty. Oh, for not doing my homework. Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi? The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rena made? You forgot about your homework, didn't you? Certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found the sewing needle, so I wasn't able to answer which one Rena made. Well, if I remember, actually, it was E. I think it was E, because he said that it was formed differently. So. The penalty for that? Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling right now. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena. Attacked by strange men. The penalty Mion and Rena were talking about. Like, has my guy just been having a fever dream the last, 3 days? I don't know, dude. My brain is mush. I don't know. Their eyes just switch and go evil already? Just waiting for it to happen. What were these two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing? Don't move. This is your penalty. My body was already very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena that I knew. These thin, frail arms grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they? Okay, no struggling. Club rule number... it doesn't matter which one. You can't fight against the penalty. Mion. No, that thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion. Need to finish this up before the director comes. Mion fished in her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I'm guessing that it's a sewing needle. I could tell that what it was just by looking at it. But for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It was a small, clear syringe, the kind a doctor might use if you went to them with a high fever. Rena held me even tighter. Is it a sedative? And I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. Am I getting date raped right now? That eerie laughter. It wasn't something that Rena and I knew could ever... Oh my... I just slow down. It wasn't something that Rena I knew could ever produce from her own throat. Weird comment there. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer. And that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, don't worry. It won't hurt, it won't hurt. What are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kay? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? About what? I don't understand any of this at all. I know you know. No use playing the fool this late in the game. Stop talking nonsense to try and confuse me. Open your eyes, bitch. You're gonna have done to you what happened to Tomitake. What? The same as Tomitake? I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe? You're playing dumb, Keiichi. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean the same as Tomatake? Oh, I know. Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run. Remember the drug that makes you kill yourself? Except when the officer got closer to check if he was still alive, he soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out. From a knife or something? No, nails. Nails? Nails as in fingernails. With those? Gouged through? That's right. Tomatake had clouded his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then for that to happen, we thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomatake's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomatake's body. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laugh. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Meaning the drug that caused Tomatake to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomatake. Become hysterical, scratching out my own throat in the last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, that I was about to be injected with it, at that moment, I did not feel there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him? Just give up. Alright then. Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she was brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone really hit me hard on the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. And then my throat felt itchy. Squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly, I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or had it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. I mean, that's kind of what sleeping is like, bro. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be all of it was a hallucination? Dude, don't do this fucking shit. I said this earlier, and I hope that... There's only one possibility here. My guy is being cursed, and because he's cursed, Oyashiro is fucking with his brain. I don't know what's happening right now. I don't know what's happening. There's no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was just a hallucination. Neither Rena nor Mion. They would never do something so terrible. I hope not. I don't really care about Rena, dude. I've said this 10 times so far. I like Mion. I don't give a fuck about Rena. I'm gonna get pigeonholed. I'm gonna get railroaded into picking Rena in this game, though I can feel it. My head grew hot. Unless, of course, she is the villain, and then, then that won't happen. But I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? You're sad because you're about to die. This is your death vision. You're hallucinating. I don't understand. My throat's itchy. Kind to everyone. Not discriminating against age or gender. True. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Oh, no! Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. This has to be fake. The bright crimson smeared on the walls, that splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slumped at my feet. They injected it into themselves. That same Rena was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? When they beat these two down with this metal bat, I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. What? Dude. I mean, what about the director? You know, I hope this isn't real. Fuck Rena. I mean, we don't care. But Mion, my girl? Man. You know what? This game has been pretty surreal so far, so we're just gonna deny reality. That's my play here. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this? That's right. Keiichi Maebara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There is no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? But the blood. There's so much. Neither Rena nor Mion moved an inch. My only question is, like, who is this director that they were talking about? Is this all an act? Like, I genuinely just feel like this could be a Truman Show shit. Like, I feel like Keiichi is living in the Truman Show right now. All his friends are actors. Like, and this has all just been one elaborate, like, meme. I don't know. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Are they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. I wonder if this is the same thing that happened to Rena. Because again, remember, like, Oishi was talking about what's going on, right? Like, and I think that what it might be is this is my main character getting cursed, but I really hope this wasn't the outcome. Come on now, do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on, once, twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down, calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smell reinfused the air. At the same time, I remember what happened when I blackened out. Rena and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomatake, but right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with the spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat, though, was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. So we can deny guilt right now. So far. There's nothing recorded past this point in the videotape in my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me, oh, never mind, to not look and turned off the TV. Because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it. Didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. Tape within me, creaking along, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, and the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't tell if they were breathing. Well, you should fucking check, man. What did I say, man? What did I say? I said, like, fucking 5 or 6, 7 hours ago, he should just confront his friends and, you know, figure out what's going on. And then he did this, and now this happened. I fucking hope they're not actually dead. I don't think they will be, but I don't know. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. I mean, it depends, right? Like, my guy was kind of memeing earlier like he was some kind of, like, fucking macho man destructor beast. That he was, like, a machine, right? That he was, like, insanely strong or some shit, right? But I don't know about that. I don't know if he is like that. I refuse to believe they're dead, okay? I refuse to. I don't know what's going on right now. Well, what if Mion's dead? Then I uninstall the game, dude. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it, even if it was a bit excessive. This was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here in Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug. Imagine we find out, well, it probably still isn't good to just inject random fucking shit into people, but, like, imagine he, like, gets it, they'd send it, like, a toxicology lab, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's actually just saline. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, you went a little bit hard, bro. And from that fact, that the both of these two were involved, I wonder, actually, I have a theory. I'm throwing a theory out right now. It just dawned on me. I think that Oyashiro's curse, so far it has been framed that Oyashiro's curse is like killing and disappearing people. Alternatively, given what happened with Rina, I think, with her incident, I think that the curse actually makes you kill people. And the one that disappears is the murderer. And that would fit with the first case. This would just be a case where it happened with two people, just because of the situation. But think about it, right? Every person who did something, then disappeared, right? We know in the first case that the guy who disappeared did kill the first guy. But we were assuming afterwards that this was just some weird shit happening. That, like, a guy was disappearing, or a person was dying, and then a person related to them was disappearing. Is it potentially, and this could be wrong, is it potentially not more likely that the person who disappeared is actually the cursed one? They killed the person, and then they disappeared out of realizing what they've done, like running from their crimes. That's the theory I'm rocking with right now. I'm eating some pretzels, too. This wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rina's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of the incidents. Oishi would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die and wanting to know the truth. That would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was a matter of time now. The doctor, or again, not a doctor, director, this is why I think it also could still be an act. The doctor Rina called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I need to contact Oishi. At that moment I remembered. Besides the doctor, a director had been called. I don't think a doctor was ever called. I think only the director was called. It's easy to imagine there was someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rina and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maebara. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. Moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door, pretend to be a doctor to get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in. At that moment, I saw a car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van! The one that tried to hit me. No mistaking it. The van. The one that had tried to run me down. Run me down mid. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break the window and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Oishi. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. But before all of that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyashiro. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I needed to get that clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. Damn it. That tape was sticking to it fast. It would be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oishi, the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece of torn, college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of info that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was a fact. Anyway, I'd leave all the info that would help lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the director. To begin with, the term director didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the directors from the past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided in 6 pieces, his right arm never discovered. The police should have confirmed the death, but Rina and Mion did both call him director. I don't know if they meant director in that sense, dude. The way I understood it, let me see, I don't know how far this is going to go up. Yeah, it doesn't go back far enough. When they said it, she said, you know, like a director. Like maybe a construction site foreman. I don't know if she was literally insinuating, like literally that guy is the director, or if she was just like giving an analogy. But they said director. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who is dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who is deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oishi. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of the string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been that some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? Shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah. My game's freezing. There's something even more important I needed to write. Tomatake's death was from an unknown drug. That's right, that drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't leave that vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly, firmly. Firmly grasp it! Ding dong. The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore, but even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it's become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you're reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body, if I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That's me! That's us! That's me! This is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oishi, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rina and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rina, Mion, I really had thought all of us were friends. Pepe hands. Why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I was only worried about standardized test scores, about the school I hoped to get into, was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. I loved killing you both. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have no obligation to shed tears for them, but they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life, even if they were trying to kill me, everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Pepe hands. I just can't believe that they're dead. I don't know. Or could it be those happy days where all of us saw it as well? Monday, Tuesday, happy days. Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? But that couldn't have been the case. Both Rina and Mion, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. I hope that's true, and I hope they're not dead. But I think you fucked up. Or their minds were taken over. Possessed, true! Potentially. Regardless, both Rina and Mion, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. God, I hope so. But they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, no matter what means were employed to force them. There was no way such a thing as being possessed by Oyashiro could happen in reality. Then did the real Rina and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rina and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fakes, only the reality that was before me. Rina and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I had beaten my friends to death. Remember as well that this is give me a reacher grabber on this one, but do remember that the what's her face? The one housewife got beaten and killed. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rina and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them! Rina and Mion, I killed them! And then they stood up. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass. I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rina for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of the late Rina and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind this single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen. Headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly, so as to not make a sound. There he is! The back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi. I just want your autograph. One after the other. I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence. Those things you use when you have time to spare spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever, so of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran, just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. The presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. Imagine getting outlegged by a fucking 14-year-old. Weird champ. Quack, 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 quack. That was the chirping of the Higurashi telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Life faded to black. Quack, 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 quack. Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Maybe you're the bad one, bro. Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Yeah. Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. Look, you sound like Rina now, don't you? I'm sorry. I felt that was the only correct response or something. I didn't really see what it said, but that's basically what he said. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was about 1/10 of the municipality's revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. I was about to say, am I Oishi now? Why would you discard the 5 manzu there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the Mahjong magazine called Next Turn. You're still in Tenpai if you cut the 5 manzu. If you're betting on a Haite, then shouldn't you be going into it with a Mangan? Kuma, look at the pond. Dude, I don't know why the game hitches like this. They all discarded a 5 manzu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if, at the end of the game, someone was sitting on a Tenpai on the last turn, wouldn't you? The kid let out another groan, put out a cigarette, then took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call Ron with your winning tile in that Haite. What? Why is that? Just then I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oishi? You have a call from a civilian. Whoa, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Dude, I gotta play as fucking Professor Oak now? Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second, Oishi. Oops. The man sitting in the seat Oishi was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver. Monka fucking yikes. Outside line from a payphone. Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oishi. Who is it? Oishi? Hello? If it isn't Maebara, why good evening. From the tone Maebara's voice. The tone of Maebara's voice? I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time that Maebara had phoned me, and And he was calling from a payphone. Please calm down. Did something happen? His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? I. Calm down, Maybara. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he? Maybara, you're calling from a payphone right now, right? Where is that payphone? There were no other sounds beside Maybara's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Hinamizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, Maybara. What is your current situation? It was best practice to avoid flustering someone panicking, but this was an urgent case. Maybara didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at Maybara right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. Maybara wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there? 2. Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there was likely quite a few people surrounding Maybara. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officer station in Hinamizawa? He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out and it'll be impossible to contact them. God damn! Kuma, bring the car around. Understood! Hello? Oishi? Hello? It's alright. I can hear you loud and clear. There's something wrong with Maybara. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured? Maybara, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Maybara? I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped into my head. Maybara, who is the culprit? How many are there? I thought at first the culprit was human. I couldn't tell if that was a cough or vomiting. Are you alright, Maybara? I thought that the culprit was a person and not Oyashiro's curse. Up until right now, but I guess in the end... It was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting. But I guess Oyashiro does exist. No, he's here. Maybara, please. Just please calm down. I've been thinking it was strange for a while now. It's been following me this whole time. I run and I run and I run, but it just sticks to me like my shadow. But slowly, so slowly, it's digging itself into my back. Maybara, are they right now, perhaps right behind you? Behind me? Right behind me? Please, Maybara. My game keeps hitching. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I can tell you're scared. But please, who is it that's right behind you? I can't just look behind me. If I do, I'll... I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who's behind you, Maybara? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound. Maybara, couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat? There was no answer, but I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. Maybara had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear him groaning and vomiting over on the other end in a repeating abnormal noise. Hello? Hello? Maybara? Hello? I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At the moment I heard whispering, coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. And the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there? Hello? Maybara? Rather than whispering, it was some kind of a mantra he was chanting over and over. I bet you it's going to be I'm sorry. I focused my senses trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Eep! Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone! It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came clearly in my mind. Oishi, the car's good to go. Oishi? It was, I'm sorry. Oishi. That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Queek, 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 queek. Should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Queek, 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 queek. Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. Well, fuck, eh? June 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shishibon City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maebara, aged 1 blank. Oh man. I really didn't think that this is where the direction this game was going to go down. I still don't buy this. But, like, I guess we'll see, but I don't buy this. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates, Rinryugu, Miya, and Sonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. Sorry, I heard police sirens going off, and I was wondering if it was the game or if it was real life, and it is real life. My bad, I just had a stroke there for a second. The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. Inside the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood. There were signs of a struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It's believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back and thrown aside. It's hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. We know this was because he was searching for the sewing needle. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart and its contents were spread on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It's believed that the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fist. The reason for this remains unknown. To check for the, This was him checking for the needle in the trash. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words was there a needle written on it? The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. He was closing this to make Rina think that his parents were home. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Hinamizawa Local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. This doesn't feel right, man. The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. I didn't search this up the last time they said this, but I'm pretty sure this is just blood loss, right? Yeah, it's just loss of blood. Okay. So I got a message. Never mind. It was the score. It was determined that the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. The similarity to the death of Tomitake the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved. But as with Tomitake, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, the case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior, as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Is not necessarily the correct string of details. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets from a B5 college-ruled notebook that had each been torn in half. And as if trying to conceal it, it was stuck hidden behind a clock on the wall. The contents are written in the appendix, which we already know. The police believe it to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed the line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? It was impulsive, but somewhat... It's hard to actually say. It was a little bit of both. I would say the murder was impulsive, but the situation was like... but he kind of got thrown... It was impulsive. With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Oh, I don't remember the order that he put shit in. So, the last thing he wrote was the syringe. I think it was the part where it said that Rina and Mion were related. It is highly probable the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from traces of... but it's not possible. It couldn't have been... Well, that part could have been ripped out, but it wasn't Rina or Mion who did it. It's not possible, because they would have been dead at the time. In addition, judging from traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen, the syringe, so it was taken. So maybe that was what was removed. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have a connection with the incident. Kurado Oishi. He underwent voluntary questioning, but denies involvement in any damages to the note. So Oishi might have ripped it. Okay, so they're gonna read it back to us. So we're not reading the notes of Oishi. I thought we were reading the notes of fucking Professor Oak here. We're not. This is like... I'm assuming this is like just like a crime, like, I don't know what you would call it. Just like a case file. Like, we're just reading a case file. And it seems that Oishi, because of this being his personal investigation, may have ripped it to do it himself. I, Keiichi Maebara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Oyashiro's curse. So no, this part didn't get ripped out. Rina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all in the first sheet. The section below this has been ripped out. It's from the second sheet. The above has been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you're reading this, I'm probably already dead, though you may or may not find my body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. My only desire, Keiichi Maebara. So the part about the syringe got removed. So it was the part about the syringe. And my ears just got fucking annihilated. A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra on the title menu and then select... Okay. So what do I do now? I was really confused, okay? 1 minute. I'm confused here. Why do I even care about the tips then? They're useless. They don't serve any purpose. I thought I had to put together a mystery at the end of this. There's nothing to put together. Thank you for buying. Yep. How was it? If you enjoyed it even a little bit, it would make me happy. Cool. I didn't really like you, though. Don't like you either. Made us angry. Okay, it's a prologue. I see how this might play out. Okay, wait, so I kind of understand where they're going with this. They're treating this like this is like a Truman Show shit. Hey, what's up? Oh, I thought they were gonna make me literally put together a mystery at the end. Like it was gonna be like, yo, here is the details, figure it out. So my understanding of what's gonna happen is that it's gonna be, we're gonna get like not a time skip, we're gonna get like a rewind and we're gonna be going through the exact same thing, but it'll be a different setting? Not different setting. I getcha. I don't know why the game keeps hitching. It's very annoying. I think this is the correct take here. There's some weird shit going on. I still think it's the work of people, but I think there might be like a supernatural spice sprinkled on top. Oops. That's what I thought, but... Holy fuck, how long is it? Yeah, and if it was a curse, it doesn't make sense why Mion would be targeted, right? Because she never left the village. She's been a resident the whole time. So it doesn't really make sense in that regard. It explains Rina, but it doesn't really explain Mion. 30 to 40 minutes of reading? Holy shit. Just hit one of these then. Be real here, I don't need to. I'd rather do the theories myself. I don't want to be spoiled. Not spoiled, but I don't want to be tainted by these people. Just trying to get that last achievement on Steam, you feel me? I'm just trying to think here. I'll do my write-up here. There we go, see? Okay. So chapter 1's done. Okay. So first things first, close this. I'll boot up the second one because I already have it installed. Okay. Oh, I don't have the expansion installed on this. I have to get to the... Because I only installed it for the first one. I didn't know that you had to install it separately. One sec, let me get this installed here. I should install all of them. Do 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 do. Okay. Run anyway. Run installer. Full patch. Do 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 do. Okay, do. Start the installation. As a warning, I'm probably gonna drop frames here if the stream buffers, just so you know. Okay, let me... Okay, here we go. Let me open up chat here on my side. Okay. So, let's write something coherent here. Okay. So let's figure this out. I'm also gonna reboot the stream really quick, just so for in the future, whenever I highlight these, I have it separate. Because it'll be much easier this way for me in the future, instead of highlighting it twice. It'll be annoying. So I'll reboot the stream once it's done installing. But I need to think here. Okay. We're gonna write a theory at the end of each chapter that updates with new info, okay? That's a plan right now. So we'll make a theory for this. And then we'll have a theory that we'll have at the end of chapter 2. And then we'll have a theory at the end of chapter 3. And it'll be updated each time, obviously. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Let's think here. I'll wait till the frame dropping stops. Because it's just going to disrupt what I'm saying. It'll be stupid. So. I'm going to go refill my water and get a snack. These pretzels are kind of shit. I'll be right back. I'm back. I see your messages. No, I'm not. I just like PCs. I'm in chemistry. Is my my study. If you can hear me, I don't know if I'm cutting out because of the fucking stupid frame drop. Yeah, I've had my fair share of PC issues in the past. So I tend to learn my way around things just from having issues in the past. Like I had a dead GPU for about 6 months from about, oh god, well I mean it's February now, right? So it was like like September. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna reboot the stream very quick. I'm gonna change the title because now we're on chapter 2. And I'll be literally back in 1 second. I gotta change the fucking category too. Shit. Chapter 2. Okay, let me update this. I'm gonna stop. I'll be right back. 1 second.